Within the wealth dynamic square, we look at 8 different ways you can create wealth, and there are only 8. And as I go through each of the 8, I'll start first of all by just going through the framework and the principles behind wealth dynamics. The first one is on wealth. That wealth is not about the money. It's about our personal path of least resistance where we are following our flow, and as a result, whether we're getting paid or not, we know it's the right path for us. So the first fundamental thing is that this is about who we are, not what we do. And the second part is that this is not about a particular industry or vehicle or profession or even country. That you'll find that great entrepreneurs will always move to whichever is going to be the right place where they get their flow. Like a great surfer, you don't complain about the fact that the surf is out and you don't have a good wave. You just position yourself for where the wave's about to be. So the second thing, which is really important, is not only is this about who you are, it's about who you play the game with, and even the football pitches or the court that you actually show up in as well. And the third thing, which is really important, is that as we actually start following our flow, we realize that like any flow, it's not so much about where it's coming from as a result of where it's going to. That this is not so much about the effect, which is what wealth is, but the cause or the purpose behind why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. So how does the wealth dynamic square work? Well, here is the format. You have a square, you have a top and a bottom, which is the way we think. So this is our thinking dynamic. And then we have a left and right, which is the way we act, which is our action dynamic. You'll see that on the top, you have the people who have their head in the clouds, which is a high frequency thinking called intuitive thinking. And at the bottom, you have the ear to the ground, which are the sensory thinkers. The ones at the top will create value through something called innovation. And the ones at the bottom will create it through something called timing, which is totally different. You've also got the left and the right, where you'll have some of us who are on the left side in the way we act, which is introvert action. Introvert action means that we are able to leverage through the way that we are multiplying, which is making things really simple, creating a system, working on our business, not in it, and as a result, we can multiply, as opposed to magnify, because some of us don't know how to make things simple. In fact, we can't help but make things complicated, and that's okay, because there are some who are on the extrovert side, which is not about creating systems and the back end, but actually being out in front. And it's about the relationships, and it's about the way that we connect with each other as well. This goes much deeper as you get into wealth dynamics in terms of how this fits into seasons and how it fits into the timings of our industries. But let's just keep for now to just those 8 different profiles that fit around the square. So start from the top in the center, and we have someone called a creator. And a creator is someone like Bill Gates or someone like Richard Branson, who's always head in the clouds, wouldn't even think of running their business because other people can run it for them and will always run it better. That's how Richard Branson has over 200 businesses. He's always there creating new ones. That's someone who is able to leverage through others and doing it through the innovation. If we then step one step to now the star, this is someone who is not there at the very beginning of the cycle, but almost. Not the one creating the spark, but the one creating the sparkle. And a star is somebody who is exceptional at thinking on their feet, very creative, very head in the clouds, but they're actually more extrovert than a creator as well. Martha Stewart and Oprah Winfrey can do much better taking products that fit their brand and promoting them than trying to create their own products. And so a star would be looking to say, right, what products can I work with? What teams can I actually start to work with as well? And how do I make sure I have a brand which personifies what I stand for? And that becomes the lasting wealth of a star. And the equity they build is not the equity within the product, it's the equity within the brand itself. The next person is someone called a supporter, who's a fantastic leader. And we call them a supporter because whereas we're all leaders, this is someone who is exceptional at leading people, but through other people's creations. So for example, someone like Steve Ballmer, who is the head of Microsoft, or Jack Welch, who is the head of General Electric, which was Thomas Edison's company. These are people who are very good at being able to message in the right way and magnify whatever messages are there in order for them to actually make sure the team gets done things that neither the creator or the star are able to get done. This doesn't mean a supporter has to just support a creator or a star or any other one of the wealth creators. It means that they have as their value the way that they are supporting others. So even someone who might be having their own headhunting company or having their own PR company, and they know their relationship is so strong, they can pick up the phone and they can make a phone call which is worth tens of thousands of dollars to somebody else. That's the power of a supporter. The next person is a deal maker, and this is someone who also is about people, but now we're actually down at the corner where you'll find people like Rupert Murdoch and Donald Trump. They'll always have other people creating. They're always making sure that they're not getting head in the clouds, because that's when all of their leverage as a deal maker goes. They'll make sure that they are now focused at timing, which is what happens at the base of the square. So very powerful when you look at someone who's a deal maker, that if you're a creator and you're running your own business, you shouldn't be doing your own deals. There'll be someone in the industry already that you're in who already is known as a deal maker. He's the go-to guy. And so the people who are deal makers will always structure themselves in such a way that they're always as good as the deals that they've done. And they can do deals with everyone within that industry. So Rupert Murdoch's decided that media is his industry, and he's even moved from news media, as that industry is dying, into new media and social media, and buying up MySpace, which is what he's done recently, which is all about basically keeping with your profile even as industries change. And from the deals, which is where you are magnifying, to now the trades, which you could either magnify or multiply. A trader is someone who is measuring their trades in terms of activity. So someone like George Soros is a trader. John Templeton was a famous trader. And these are individuals who are there saying, I don't need to create anything if I can actually trade other people's creations. And whether that's commodities, or whether that's the stock market, or even someone who says, I just found out I'm a trader and I don't even like going to the market. I have no idea how to do that. That's fine too. Traders also, because they're so sensory, are very good at service. You're going to find that there are people who are excellent at making new relationships that are terrible at sustaining them. Whereas the ones who are traders are very, very good at keeping the balance and actually keeping the service. And so as a result, you allow the person who's out creating new connections to keep making those connections while you create the glue within those connections as well. So that's what traders do. And from traders, you then get to the introvert side, which is also timing, but now through assets and systems as opposed to people. And you'll find people like Warren Buffett. This is the accumulator. An accumulator is somebody who is now focused not so much at timing in terms of people, as well as timing in terms of markets, in terms of assets, and they're accumulating. They're waiting for the right time to buy, and then they buy. And they'll always keep focused at what they do. Because success is not what you say yes to, it's what you say no to. And you find people like Warren Buffett are very clear what they say no to, and as a result, they attract exactly the right opportunities for them. So this is about attraction, and it's about how when we flow, we create attraction into our flow. And the more he gets into his flow as an accumulator, the more he's going to attract all the resources he needs to do an even better job and contribute even more. And from that accumulator, where we have those who are quite introvert and always studying, always taking more time to look at things, you then again slow time down further when you get to a lord. And a lord is right on the opposite side from someone who's a supporter. A lord is someone who is like a landlord, always focused on cash flow. They don't even have to own the product. All they have to own is the cash flow behind the product. So many landlords, they don't even own the properties. The banks own the properties, or others own the properties, but they will make sure that they have actually created that margin in between. And it's not just about land, it can be about anything. Someone, let's say, for example, like Sergey Brin with Google, is making sure that no matter what's going on the internet, he's making money from all that flow. Someone like Rockefeller with oil did the same thing. That's what lords can do very well, because they're very good at the analysis behind things, and they're not confused by the stories of the people. And then the final one is the mechanic. And the mechanic is the one who's great at completing in the same way the creator is great at starting. And the mechanic is the one like, let's say, for example, Ray Kroc, who went his whole life trying to be a star, promoting other people's products. And then when he got into his 60s, he realized he was never going to make it that way. Comes across the McDonald's brothers and says, I don't have to promote what they do. I can actually multiply what they do. I can actually create a better system for them. So this is what a mechanic does. They create systems as opposed to product or brand. And there are some amazing mechanics out there. Someone like Jeff Bezos at Amazon.com is always there looking from the point of view of saying, how do I create a better system to attract all the right products, all the right brands, and as a result, that's how I'll make my money, by allowing other people to leverage my value. Because the whole concept of value and leverage is you leverage your own value. You have to leverage someone else's value, and they have to leverage your value. Just like a game of football, you find that it's only by being part of that team that you realize that this is not the power of one, this is the power of all. Those are the 8 different profiles. And once you find out yours and the people in your team, then we get to flow. Because true flow is not how you get into your flow. It's how you help others around you get into their flow.